even if a client comes to us with a fully formed idea for an application, or they know exactly what they want to automate, we still insist they go through this process because it's so powerful and so simple that we often end up with something quite different to what they imagined.
Basically, I'm curious about what kind of tips you would give us about how we can split automation efforts in smaller parts so that we can push out valuable pieces to be delivered quickly in an agile way so we can get the benefits as we go with the implementations.
Yeah, cool. So shall I start with that one up here, or
yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah,
seems like right up your alley.
This is right up my alley, indeed. So whenever we start a project at Remote, the very first thing we do is have what we call a clarity workshop. And the aim of the clarity workshop is to decide exactly this. And so even if a client comes to us with a fully formed idea for an application, or they know exactly what they want to automate, we still insist they go through this process because it's so powerful and so simple that we often end up with something quite different to what they imagined they were coming in with. So the simplest way to do this, and this touches on what I mentioned before, the theory of constraints idea. This is a way of getting to this. And so let me just try and think of the best way of describing it. Okay, I have a friend, Marianne Page. She also runs this with her clients. She's all about systems and processes. And Marianne Page is an expert in processes particularly, and she was in the senior management at McDonald's. And whether you love or hate the cheeseburger or the Big Mac, you know that McDonald's are kings at systems and processes, right? Every French fry you've ever had from McDonald's has probably tasted like every other one because they got their systems down. And what Marianne used to do at the start of every day was she used to go outside of her restaurant when she was a restaurant manager, and she used to walk in as if she was a customer. And as she was doing this, she would look around and just check that everything was in place from that customer's point of view, all the way through to ordering the food and eating the food. And she'd do that as a customer. So this walking the customer journey is super powerful. And so if you can put yourself in your customer's shoes and walk their journey from the very first touch point with you all the way through to you fulfilling their order, whether it's a service or a product, it works exactly the same way. So the way we do this is we can do it on Miro.com. Now we're not allowed to have people in the same room as each other. We used to do this with wallpaper paper and markers and Post-it notes. So pick whichever one you like. But basically, you draw horizontal lines across this paper, and each line is a swim lane, and it's the role that's played in your business. Okay, so that role might be a piece of software, it might be a team member, it might be an entire department if you're a larger company. Either way, you have these swim lanes, and then you start from the left and you say, what's the very first touch point a customer has with us? They might phone us up, they might send us an email, they might fill in a contact form. And then you go all the way through chronologically. So what do we do then? So what do we do then? So what do we do then? All the way through to fulfillment and following up on support. And all the way through, if you can really define what happens at each point, then you have your customer journey. And then with your team, preferably, you go through each of those points and find the pain points. What are the bits that are frustrating? What are the bits that are difficult or time consuming or costly? And you can, because you've got each step marked out, it's actually very easy. In fact, in some sessions we do, it's hard to stop the client from talking about the troubles that they have with particular aspects. Every time you have a particular pain point, you get a red Post-it note or a pink one. Red ones aren't so easy to come by or write on, and stick it on the board at the right point. And what you find is there are clusters of red Post-it notes. And those clusters are the pain points in your business. And they're the pain points in your customer journey. And where there are pain points, there are opportunities to provide delight where there's currently frustration. And that is where I focus my automation and software efforts. Because if I can automate that problem away by putting in an extra touch point to a customer so they're not saying, where's my stuff? Or to automate document generation so that poor Fred doesn't have to generate write every document every time to get it out when it can be automated, and so on. Depending on where in your customer journey you are, there are thousands of ways you can remove those pain points and provide moments of delight.